everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. I'm your host, Mark Farinella, the former assistant sports editor and Patriots beat writer and so many other things for the Sun Chronicle in Attleboro, Massachusetts, retired in 2018, and now, hopefully, once again, will soon be returning as a play-by-play announcer for local cable television. It is Wednesday, March 27th. Yes, it is. And I'll explain why I had so much trouble figuring that out. 2024, of course, and welcome to the palatial confines of Fulton Pond Studios, which will be my home, well, is my home anyway, but which will be a kind of a restrictive home for me for a couple more days. But, and I'm not planning on going to a costume ball or anything like that. This is, yes, it's an eye patch. And no, I don't have my glasses on like I normally do. I apologize for my appearance in many ways. I'm a little unkempt. Hair's all over the place. I'm feeling a little disheveled, and there's a good reason for it, and I will explain it all to you. But the main reason why I will explain it is that if somebody runs into me and they look at me and they say, "What the hell happened to you?" At least I can say, "Well, watch my podcast and like or subscribe to the podcast at the same time." Okay. First of all, as you know, this is only the second episode that I've done in 2.5 years. I just finished the first of those, episode 53. I felt it was an outstanding episode. It was great to have all my templates back after the major computer meltdowns that I had a couple of years ago. Everything looked good. It sounded good. A couple of quick little tweaks during the course of production, but fine, great guests, my friend Alex Salaki and my friend Lisa Downs, talking basketball, which is, of course, as you know, my favorite sport. So please, if you want to see that, go to YouTube, type in the search area that says The Owner's Box After Dark, type it in, and you will find all of my podcasts, This is 55 right now, and of course I can't drive 55 right now because of this, but that's another story. But yeah, go there, or you can just search my own little site, which goes by my name, Mark Farinella, Farinella, and you'll find the whole routine from all the way from number one, which was recorded back in 2019 when I was down the Cape. I like that typical New England phrase, down the Cape, okay? Anyway, let's get to the explanation of why I look like Captain Morgan right now. Arr, me mateys. I can't resist doing that. Okay, first of all, it's not terribly serious, so don't panic. Okay, here's what happened. On Friday of this past week, I was looking through my eyes as normal. I was completing the work on the episodes. Everything was looking like it was going to go well. I had 2 interviews to do on Saturday, and I thought everything would be fine. So I started to look like I had a smudge on my nose or something like that, right where I'm rubbing right now. And I was like, what is that? So no, I don't have a smudge on my nose. Okay. And then I would blink and it would kind of go away, or I would think it was a shadow of some sort. Well, I've had some floaters in the past. I mean, everybody who gets to a certain age has floaters in their eyesight, but usually they're just little tiny specks that you hardly ever see at all, and then you forget about them. On Saturday, I woke up preparing to do 2 interviews by Zoom, which, if you saw episode 53, you saw that I did them. But the situation was that I was seeing a lot of blurry, cloudy vision in the middle of my field of my left eye, And I had what I thought were my hair hanging down in my eyes, or stringy dark things that were dancing around when I would move my eye and all that. I'm like, what's going on here? The first thing I thought was, I'm having a stroke. Well, I've had a stroke. I had one in right at the end of 2014. And it wasn't a terribly serious one, but it did cause me to lose almost all my vision in my right eye at the time. Okay. Um, Fortunately, I did respond to the panic of the moment. I got treatment, and over about a 6-day stay at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, things cleared up and they released me, and I've been fine ever since. Of course, I'm heavily medicated, and I am very religious about taking those medications. So that's one thing that I think was maybe the good thing about all this, is once I had saw that there were problems that had to be diagnosed, um, they were diagnosed, solutions were offered, and I have taken my doctors up on those solutions and followed through all these years. But the thing immediately I said, well, wait a minute, no, I don't have any pain. I'm not slurring my words. I'm not feeling disorganized. My face isn't drooping. Like, and I'm not making fun of anybody, please. I actually had that problem the first time, and that's one of the kind of the danger signs, that I had a little bit of a droop like that. Or was it on this side? Might have been on this side, because everything that happened to me on that one was more on the right side of my body. And so I thought to myself, no, I'm not having anything like this. And my was I any more clumsy than usual? No, I'm clumsy as it is. I was born clumsy. I probably slipped on the floor when I came out of my mother's womb. So I mean, like, that's been my lot in life. So with the knees and the neuropathy and things like I have now, yeah, I bounce off of walls every now and then, but nothing, no, nothing terrible that I can't get around normally. So nothing seemed changed. But because these things always happen on a weekend, they always happen on a weekend. So I figured, well, unless something really goes bad in the next 24 hours, I will stay here, relax, do what I have to do. I could work all the equipment, and I could speak. I could read off my notes with a little bit of an emphasis of going over to the other side. And yeah, actually, as I must note here, the right eye was completely unaffected. I mean, my eyesight is fine in my right eye. And, so I just figured I'd go about what I was doing, and I'd make sure I start sending emails and leave on for my doctors, and then follow up on that on Monday morning. So Saturday rolls around. I'm talking to Lisa Downs. I'm talking to Alex Lackey. Everything's fine. I told them in advance that I was having a little bit of a vision problem, but I figured I'd be able to get through everything. And as you can see, it was fine. They didn't notice. I mean, they almost forgot that I had told them altogether. So everything seemed okay. I got through all that. I did all the editing work that I normally do. I just had to put up with the kind of disrupting view in my left eye. But so at the same time as I was doing that, I was typing as best I could emails to my normal eye doctor in Attleboro, and to the specialist that I go to at Mass Eye and Ear in Plainville, Massachusetts, which is just part of the follow up from diabetes that I've had, and the retinopathy, I think they call it, that happens from that. And just to tell you everything that was good at that point, I've been on a really good upward swing over the last 8 years or so, where because I'm in much better control of the diabetes, that the damage that they saw inside my eyes, and they can show me that because they take these scans of everything, has pretty much reversed itself. So the point where right now you wouldn't know that I had that problem. So Sunday comes, no big difference, but still scary enough. So I made sure that the emails were out, and I just sort of hung around the house and did nothing much. Uh, Monday, immediately, both the doctors, both my eye doctor in Attleboro and the folks at Mass Eye and Ear got in touch with me. Now, I found out about the Mass Eye and Ear people when I was in the doctor's office in Attleboro, my usual eye doctor. And so she ran a bunch of tests to look inside both eyes, and she could see that what had happened was I had had a bleed inside my eyes. Um, what happened? This is and then they sent me over to Mass Eye and Ear, and my specialist confirmed all that. Okay, so that's the problem is now revealed what it was. I had some bleeding that happened within the eye, not visible to me at looking at me, but looking through the lens and all that, and what they can see with all their equipment and with the pictures and all those things. I'm still seeing white dots in my eyes because of the number of photographs that were taken with a very, very blinding flash. Poof! It's like, yeah. But that's how they find out. So, um, what I can say right now is that, especially my specialist, was confident that this is not threatening to my vision long term. Okay. I'm going to throw up a picture here of a side view of an eye if I can find one on the internet. And as I throw it up on the screen, I'll try to point out what the situation is. You have a fluid inside your eyes. Okay, it's kind of a milky kind of stuff. It's what lubricates everything. It's what holds everything together, and it's why your eye looks white outside of the all the other stuff. As a person ages, that begins to kind of dry up a little bit. It doesn't ever really get, like hard as a rock or anything like that, but it kind of shrinks, and it kind of like either might stick to the inner lining of the eye or something like that, but it just doesn't flow like it did when you were 4 years old or 40 years old. So that's sometimes why you get floaters, because, as it's rolling around with your eye movement, it might take a few little chunks out of the lining of your eye, and that's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing pieces of your eye structure, not horribly disfiguring or certainly not that damaging, but that's what you're seeing when you see floaters. Now, when you see big floaters, it's because what might have happened is that because it tends to adhere a little bit to the inside of the eye, if it pulls away from that, it might actually break a little blood vessel somewhere along the way, and that's what happened with me. It leaked blood in here. Now, what causes that to happen? Okay. Both doctors asked me, did you have any kind of accident? Have you hit your head? No. Have you hit your head on the car getting in and out of it? Nope. Have you fallen down? Oh, no. I bounce off walls on occasion, but nothing terribly jarring. It's just because my knee likes to go in another direction sometimes. Did you have any kind of accident? No, I did not. So, could have just been it could have even been a sneeze. And, I think that that's that's kind of humorous in a way because, yeah, this is exactly the time of year where now with the grass starting to grow again and a few things popping up from out of the ground, yeah, I'm sensing some pollen in the air and I'm starting to sniffle a little bit, and you can probably hear that right now. So I so that's all unexplained, but the fact is it wasn't like a hemorrhage or anything like that. Um, and this really, in a way, is not necessary. It's not for the purpose of healing. It's for the purpose of um, kind of like like reducing the noise, I guess if you can call it that way. It just that there's so much going on in my eye. Every time I move my eye, I can see the stuff flying around in there, that it's easier for me to just block out the vision in this eye for a while, let everything calm down a little bit, and hopefully everything will be fine. Now this is the initial prognosis, okay? My specialist wants me to come back to see him in Providence on April 16th. So that's fine. He very much wanted to assure me that this will clear up unless I have some sort of terrible episode before then, and there didn't seem to be evidence. In fact, the scans he took of the inside of my eye again showed that there has been no real relapse of any of the retinopathy problems. I think that's what they call it. So that's good, I guess. So he says that he'll want to see me again on the 16th, and probably by that time I probably won't need this anyway because it'll start clearing up, but it probably won't clear up entirely for maybe as much as 3 months. This happens to old men and old women too, but the blurriness that I was seeing in the center of my vision, I was a little worried about, but he said not to worry about. That was just residue from that. I've gotten very small cataracts right now that are not hardly even worth mentioning, and that within maybe 10 years I may have to have cataract surgery or something like that if I'm still around. And so with a little bit of luck, and as they say, God willing that the creek don't rise, I should be fine to call games again, probably within, I would say, well, I have a baseball game scheduled on April 8th, which, strangely enough, happens to be the day that we have a solar eclipse scheduled. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. I might have to try to do that with the patch on. Baseball is kind of a stationary sport, so I don't anticipate having to follow a lot of fast back and forth action like I would otherwise with some other sports. Like right now, I have stopped. I think I've backed out of 3 events. I had a volleyball game which is scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday, which you will probably just be seeing this as that has happened. And I had a lacrosse doubleheader, 2 games on Saturday. Now those might be rained out altogether. They normally don't rain out lacrosse, but I think in this instance it's supposed to be a heavy rain around here, so that they might lose those altogether. So like I said, the next one I wouldn't have to worry about would be until April 8th. Baseball game, I think it is at King Philip. So that would be an effort for North TV that hopefully I might be able to do. I'd be sitting up in the press box and have a pretty good view of the field. And as I said, the vision in my right eye is pretty good. In fact, it's about 20/30, so I think I'll be able to get that done. But we'll see. If my doctor says that maybe I shouldn't, maybe I'll wait a little bit longer and wait until after the follow-up. Now, he did warn me that depth perception would be a problem if I would choose to wear this. And yes, indeed, it is. Now, hopefully, I'll be able to deal with that. Yeah, strangely enough, I have driven a little bit the last couple of days because I've had to do some things, and I'll tell you about them in a later segment. But yeah, it's different. It is different for sure. That's why I kind of struggled to look at my watch a little bit because I'm not sure where my hand is. Or whenever I say the owner's box the owner's box after dark. I have to reach over to my mixing board, and yeah, when you've got 2 eyes, yeah, you know exactly where that button is. When I have one eye working, I find myself drifting off to the right somewhere, and I was about to hit the wrong button. So, yeah, I'm not going to challenge myself too much to drive without them. Now, of course, I do have to put my regular glasses on over to be able to do that, to be able to drive. Or to be able to do anything that I have to absolutely see at distance because I am nearsighted, but I'm not terribly nearsighted, and I can actually walk around the house here without the glasses on, and I feel okay. And it's just a comfort not to see the little dancing strings in front of my eyes by having this thing on. I look a little bit like, what's his name, Representative Dan Crenshaw, but I don't want to make any fun of him because he lost his eye in combat. So that's obviously something that's completely out of bounds. I would not ever make fun of somebody like that. Like I said, I look a little bit more like Captain Morgan. I should put on like a hat with a big feather on it and just, get a big mug of rum or something like that and get totally sloshed on this. Yeah, I'm afraid that where the hell did oh, there it is. God, I can't find anything these days. Here's the Diet Dr. Pepper. Arr. So anyway, that's why this. And perfect timing, though. And I will say this much because, uh, as you know, a couple of weeks ago on Saturday, we had the championship game just before the day before St. Patrick's Day. The Foxborough girls playing Norwell for the state Division III girls basketball championship. If you watched the last episode, you saw a nice big chunk of that. My vision was perfect that day. I mean, we were up in the rafters in the Songa Center, not as far away as it would be, say, at the Garden or the DCU Center in Worcester or someplace like that. But still, it was a long way away. And again, I'm a 70-year-old man. I'm not eagle-eyed, and in fact, my vision's been terrible since I was 9 years old anyway. So, but with the glasses on and everything, I saw everything very well, and I had no hint of this whatsoever. So, perfect timing. Miss a couple of events in the first week of the high school sports season. Lose a few dollars from that. What can you do? I'm still walking. I'm still talking. I'm above ground. And believe me, I'm a very lucky individual. There are people who have to deal with far, far worse on a daily basis. So, but like I said, I just wanted to point this out to you, let you know this is what happened. So if you see me, you won't be surprised. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And we just go on, as always, doing the best we can with the tools that we have. We'll be right back. I'll throw in a commercial here just so I can kind of just get everything straightened out and know where everything is. Then I got a couple of funny stories, and this will be a shorter episode tonight, obviously, but we'll be back right after this break.
It's a perfect killer. It's a perfect killer. It's a perfect killer.
卵ポケットに卵を落とそう。
It's a perfect killer.
Arr, ye scurvy dogs. Welcome back to episode 55 of The Owner's Box After Dark. Arr. I promise I'm not going to do that much more. The thing problem is this keeps slipping down, and it's bad enough having one eyebrow with this hair falling over and all that, and I'll have to clip my eyebrows, but then to have it slip down over this eye is disconcerting to say the least. I'm trying to find exactly the right place to wear this. I think I've got it as close as I'm going to have it anyway, but we do what we can. Okay, just a funny story. And also a little bit of good news too, because I think I told you before that I've had a few issues about one of my medications, and the problem with that is that the medication that I was not taking right now is called Trulicity. You might remember that. It's for my diabetes. It's kind of like a long-term type of care thing. You take one injection a week, and it really does a great job of lowering your sugar numbers and also helping you a little bit with weight loss. It kind of kills the appetite a little bit. Although not as much as maybe it should for me. But I was thinking that recently, I would say right around the beginning of the new year, my sugar numbers had gone down a lot. And I think part of it was because I had been regularly on Trulicity for almost a year without an interruption, because there have been other interruptions in this. You probably have heard the stories nationally about all of the drugs that that are for diabetics. The most famous one is Ozempic, but other ones like mine too, and I forgot the active ingredient that causes this, but because there is an effect that helps it be, kind of promote weight loss, that a lot of people are getting it prescribed for them fraudulently because they're not diabetics, but they want to lose the weight, so they get this stuff, they jam it in their bodies, and okay, maybe they drop some pounds and they're happy and they're famous and they're beautiful. And people like me and millions of other diabetics, and I've heard more stories about that lately. They can't get the drug. In fact, when I went to my eye doctor, the first appointment, the technician who helped me to begin with, she wanted me to explain everything that was wrong, and I said, I'm also a little concerned that my blood sugar numbers have gone up a little bit because I've been off Trulicity for 3 months. And immediately the recognition was there. She says, "Oh, I just had another patient tell me that." And so, yeah, we talked for a couple of minutes about how, how it's very useful in helping me keep my sugar numbers under control. And I know about the weight loss possibilities. It really hasn't been a miracle drug for me in that regard, but it's, maybe started to kind of curtail my appetite a little bit. And yeah, I bought a whole bunch of new pants lately that were one size smaller than the last time I bought a lot of pants, which was probably about 5 years ago anyway. I get a lot of wear out of my pants. Pants that wear. That's what I'm always looking for. Those of you in Mansfield will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, um, I was in contact with my primary care physician throughout this whole thing too. And of course, they're all part of the Mass General Brigham network around here, so they all are sharing all the information about me. So they're on top of it. Anything that happened at one of the eye doctors, my PCP knew about too. So, but I also talked to him. I said I really would like to get on some sort of drug again. I said, I mean, the pharmacies that we've gone to, I keep calling them and they keep saying that, well, their order for Trulicity is supposed to come in another month, but each month it goes another month. So they did some work in their office and they finally decided to switch me to Ozempic. Okay. And they found some. And I'm not going to say where, okay? Because if I tell one person where they found it, they're going to tell 10 people who all want to lose some pounds, and all of a sudden they'll never be able to find this stuff again. So I'm not going to tell you where they found it, but they found it, and I went and got some today. So I've got enough to last me for a month, and they're going to see how well I take it. There's supposed to be some side effects that were supposedly the same with Trulicity too. That might cause nausea, might cause some problems like that. I never had any problems. Of course, remember I'm the guy who took every one of those uh, booster shots for COVID that are supposed to cause everybody to be miserable, and I've never been miserable about any of it. I've been fine. So uh, they I'll be taking this. I'll be taking a low dose of Ozempic for about a month. And if I get through that month okay, then they'll hike up the dose a little bit, and hopefully that will work. And hopefully they'll be able to keep finding it because, I think the stories nationally that have gone out about how hard it is to find the stuff and the negative effect it's having on people like me or people with worse diabetes than I have, it is starting to turn the tide a little bit. And I know that the Biden administration does not like that. They're working hard to reduce the cost of this stuff anyway, and they also want to make sure the supply chain is where it should be. So another reason why I will continue to vote blue in the future. Yeah, I'm not even bashful, even remotely bashful about my political views. Vote blue. But anyway, so I took a trip today, short one. I'm probably giving it away right now, but I didn't have to drive in over congested highways, thank God. And I got there, I picked up the Ozempic, and then I was hungry, so I decided to stop at a nearby fast food restaurant. I'm not going to identify it any further than that. So I'm in the drive-through lane and I order blah 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 blah. Not much. and they tell you to drive to the first window, and so I do. So the guy behind the first window, kind of a young guy, maybe early 20s, he goes, "Hey, what's wrong with your eye?" Like that. First time that in the only like the day and a half that I've worn this thing, that anybody's asked. I said, "Oh, it's not serious. It's just kind of it cuts out the confusion. It's just helping it heal." And he goes, "Well, hey, I got to tell you, you look pretty cool with that thing. Kind of look like a pirate." And I looked at him and I said, "All right, I'll do it." Arr. And I laugh every time I say that because I just have a quick little story that goes along with that. As you know, I covered the New England Patriots for over 40 years. And one of the fellows on the beat was a gentleman by the name of Dick Sarazulo from the Worcester Telegram and Gazette. And Dick had been there. He passed away a few years ago, which is sad. He'd been there for many, many years as well. Dick was known as kind of a big, kind of gruff guy, and he talked like this. But he was a great guy. I mean, and the funny thing is, you could make fun of him, and he wouldn't get upset about it because we all would go rah 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 rah, just like like that's how he sounded with that R sound. That was not we were not saying that he was a pirate or anything like that, but we used to say that. So now here I am making that joke about the pirate patch, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm talking like Dick Sarazulo now. Dick, if you're up there or wherever you are. I am not mocking you, but I say it with all love and respect, for sure. So, but I thought that was kind of nice that somebody would say that. I've noticed that maybe some of the other people, maybe at the Starbucks, were kind of like, "Oh, don't say anything nasty to him because he's got an eye patch," because they know me, but they haven't asked me about it. So it's again, it's not nothing's hideous. See, my eye is normal. Okay, but it does keep me from seeing the nutcracker suite in front of my eyes. It is helpful, and I think it'll help me cope with things over a few days. But yeah, again, it's weird getting used to this. You know, the publisher of the Sun Chronicle for many years was a fellow by the name of Paul Rickson, and he was very instrumental in letting me have my little tyrannical career that I did. And I didn't realize this at first, but he had a glass eye. He had one, and he could drive. He could do everything. He run a newspaper. So, but it's making me appreciate certain things a little bit more in just the short time that I've had this in here. Um, I'm thankful that I will have the use of both eyes again shortly, and again I'll try to call a baseball game or a softball game maybe with one eye and see if I can get away with it. But I'm glad I'm not doing anything this weekend. That's the important part. So let's take another break. This is a short episode, and we will be back to wrap up everything here on episode 55 right after this short message.
来たぞポケモン目指した
クライドンだクライドンもまさか今度はテラスタルタグこんなタンク見たことない
マクドナルドオリジナルポケモン目指した想像力を広げよう
Welcome back one more time to episode 55 of The Owner's Box After Dark. So, you've heard about my eye, you've heard about my drugs. Boy, this is all about me tonight, huh? Yeah. Again, it's just self-explanatory. I'm thinking about some good stuff for the future of this version of the podcast. Now, normally it is a lot of me on the After Dark episodes. I like to talk a lot about things that I'm doing, and maybe I can throw some clips of stuff in here, or I get a guest here and there. So I will try to progress with that. On the original Gangsta, on the Owner's Box audio version, I have a plan for the future for it, and we've already done one episode like that. and it was recent. Again, if you want to listen to the audio episodes, take a look at what you see on the screen that's going to pop up next to me about the number of places that you can subscribe to hear podcasts. And those things get from all of those sites. They all come up, and you can find the owner's box with Mark Farinella. Usually use my name because there's a lot of the owner's boxes out there, more than there used to be. And you can subscribe to any of these services to get my podcast. And the second you get it, it will come immediately to your smartphone or whatever device you want it to go to. And then you'll be able to view it, no charge, no cost at all. But the one I'm talking about was a recent one. I think it was episode 50. And my friend Alex Salaki and I, of course, he's my brother from another mother. We grew up together and went to Mansfield High together, have both moved back to this town, although I lived in a lot of other towns around here, but, we were always in touch. And, he and I have been great friends for years. We have similar interests, and we've done actually a couple of podcasts now. And the most recent one we did was what we like to call Mansfield Memories type of thing. Our hometown is a community of about 25,000 people now. It didn't used to be. When we were growing up, it was maybe 5,000 to 7,000, maybe 10,000, depending upon the census or what time it was. But it was a much smaller community, but still kind of a little ahead of some of our neighboring communities in some areas, like with maybe commerce, with the industry, entertainment a little bit sometimes, although we always complained when we were growing up that we had nothing to do. And, we've always been kind of proud to be a part of this town. And so what we did was we went back and we looked at some specific areas of the town. We researched and we talked about what it was like at the beginning of, say, like the 1970s, which doesn't seem like a long time ago to me because that's when I graduated from high school. But you know what? To kids growing up nowadays, that's like another century, which of course it was another century, but it's like what I would have perceived the 1920s to look like when I was growing up in the 1970s. And, in a way, true. That's pretty much how it is. So we talked about a couple of things. He talked about all of the barber shops that used to be in town. This is a predominantly Italian town, or at least it was when we were growing up. And the place where everybody got together to shoot the shit or place bets or whatever was your local barber shop. And so Alex, knowing many of them from his days and before he lost all his hair, sorry, Alex. He decided to research all those, and he had some great retrospectives to places that he could talk about and memories that he had from interacting with people when he was a youngster and all that. And of course, one of my great loves has always been cars. I mean, I've owned about 30 of them by now anyway. And we used to have a lot of car dealers in this town. We had at least one car dealer for every major American make. And some of the car dealers started pulling in the imported cars just about the time that they started to become popular. We didn't have a Volkswagen dealer, but we had a Saab dealer. We had somebody who would sell Renaults, or I guess we called them Renaults in those days. The Buick place would sell Opels. Of course, that doesn't happen anymore, but it was still just that there were so many of them that I was able to research just about all of them and talk about how when I was a kid, I used to walk around this town all the time when I was a little kid, maybe 8 years old, maybe a little bit older. And I would, especially around September when the new models always came out. And back in those days, I mean, seriously, the car dealers would cover the new cars that came in on the trucks with big tarps because they weren't supposed to show them to the public until a certain date. So I would sneak into the back of, say, Old Colony Motors, which is just a stone's throw from where I lived, and I would like go in there and try to peek underneath to see what the new Dodges look like and things like that. And that was in the days, of course, with tail fins and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a great recollection. So we did about an hour on that on the owner's box. And we got a great response from a lot of people. I hyped it as much as I could on social media, and I think we did get a very good response on it. So we'll do that again. We'll find some other topics to come up. But of course, Alex is vacationing right now. So he joined me in episode 54 of this video podcast on Zoom from his vacation spot. So it's going to be a while before I can get him back here into what I call Fulton Pond Studios. And I have multiple locations for microphones and all that. And we'll sit down and we'll do another one. That one probably won't be on video because it's tough to get multiple cameras yet. I haven't gotten that far in the progress of putting this whole thing together. But you never know. If I have a lot of time on my hands, as I seem to have in my old age, maybe I'll come up with a solution for that. But yes, that will be a pretty good audio podcast coming down the pike. So anyway, I just wanted to remind you also that if you would like to contact me, you can do so by email, and the address for that, which will also pop up on the screen somewhere. I don't know where to move my head, but I'll just throw it someplace on the screen, and you'll be able to read it. The address for email is theownersbox2020@gmail.com. THEOWNERS2020@gmail.com. No apostrophes, no spaces, no nothing. Just straight type and boom. And that will get you to my email address. You can send me a letter via snail mail at the owner's box. And in this case, it doesn't matter whether it's after dark or not. Just the owner's box, Post Office Box 272, Mansfield, Massachusetts, 02048. And that's easily enough done. If you want to spend what is it, 68 cents now for a letter? I can't remember. I just ordered a bunch of stamps from the post office the other day. I got some John Wooden stamps. I think that's pretty cool, especially since I do games from the Wooden Gymnasium at King Philip Regional High School, but that's not named after John Wooden. It's just because it's got a wooden floor, but spelled the same, so I think it's cool. Anyway, and if you want to check out my website, it is theownersbox2020.com, and that's my old Blogging Fearlessly website from my days at the Sun Chronicle, updated, and I put my broadcasting schedule. I have blog posts that are like columns. I can offer some opinions every now and then. I don't update it as much as I should, but you know what? I really should update it more, and I have lately put quite a few more few more entries, columns, opinions, whatever, and on there. Also, I have restaurant reviews on occasion. I review my coffee at Starbucks. And the best part is the ongoing schedule I put down of the games that I do for whichever cable systems I'm doing them. And you can follow that. So, and if you go to the site, look at the top where it says there's a little logo of me that says quality content, but above that there's a new content alert, and usually I update that if there's something new, if there's a new lead post, or if there's something new on that column on the side. Now you can see this on your smartphone too, but you only see a kind of a stripped down version at first. But if you go all the way down and see where it says see web version, you can hit that and you can see the internet version of that, and you'll see all the stuff I'm talking about that's on one of the rails on one of the sides that has the reviews and blah 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 and so on and so forth. So okay, thanks to all the folks here at Duck and Cover Productions, as always. They're always great to me. They keep this going. I'm sorry I didn't pay them for 2.5 years, but they all came back. I guess I'll be back soon. Oh yeah, the usual reminder: use it. That's all I'll say, because we're out of the woods. I hope. But it's a good idea to keep your hands clean anyway. I mean, look, I can't go poking around my eyes with dirty hands right now. That's for darn sure. So I wash my hands copiously now and make sure that I'm not having any problems. So, all right, thank you again for your forbearance and listening to my tale of woe here. Things will get better. I will not be in rough shape for very long. I'm not in rough shape now. So if you see me, you don't have to give me flowers or wonder about when you're going to have to go to the funeral and all that. I'm okay. Thank you for joining me tonight, and we'll see you again soon. Good night, everyone.